you can use between 35, and 35 is the lowest of it, and it can go up to 100,000. So imagine you're buying a costume that is 100,000 and you're not even sure if you're going to win. It's a local show and all that. It can really be frustrating, but it is what it is. We said it is a privilege, it is not a right. Hi guys, welcome to Claire's Fitness Zone. I am so excited that you're here. I am happy about the subscriptions, the number of subscriptions that is increasing. And please go subscribe, like, leave a comment. So today we are going to talk about preparing for your first competition. And remember, we are talking about preparing for your first competition looking at an African perspective. We are looking at the Kenyan context. Now, so you have decided to go for your first competition. Congratulations. That is a very huge step that you've undertaken. And remember, I usually say, bodybuilding is a privilege. It is not a right. If you ever see anyone who's a bodybuilder, just know that this is a privilege. One, it is a very expensive sport. So if you decide this is a sport for you, always know that bodybuilding is a privilege. It is a sport that is not done by so many. So congratulations on even thinking that this is your sport. Now, the other thing, you create yourself. Always remember that. I know there are people who usually talk about finding themselves, but you can never find yourself in bodybuilding. It is about creating yourself. And by creating yourself, we've said it is a privilege, so you always create yourself going forward. Now, your first competition, and I am talking about first competition, knowing very well that there are people who are competing in October 8th, the East African Natural Competition in Kenya. So this one will greatly help you. When we are looking at how do I prepare myself as an athlete, I feel there are 4 areas that we really need to look at. The first area of you prepping is training. The second area of you prepping is your nutrition, or as some would want to call it, the diet aspect or the diet part of it. The other one is the posing aspect, and the last one is the glamming aspect. Remember, I usually say like bodybuilding is a beauty pageant for people in sports. So the way people usually prepare for their wedding or special occasion, the glamming aspect comes in. Let us look at the training aspect. I am assuming you're not new to the gym. I am assuming you've been lifting weights. Remember, this is a muscle show. It's not, much as I said, it's a beauty pageant for fitness. It is a muscle show. So you need to be lifting weights. You need to be having some considerable amount of muscle that you will want to show. So in your training, depending on the category that you want, and right now in Kenya, the 3 major categories that are there, we have the bikini, we have figure, and we have wellness. Depending on your category, your training will be programmed on the category that you do. So your training has to be on point. You lift your weights, you do your cardio, Remember, you need to be very lean, as lean as possible. It's a muscle show. And this sport is a sport that is also very subjective. So you really have to impress the judges. It's about aesthetics. It's about how you present yourself. So when you're training, you look at what you're supposed to bring there. In our next video, we will talk about the categories and how your body should be. So by now, I am assuming you already know the category that you want to do. So you know if it is bikini, probably you need to bring round, lifted glutes. You need to bring everything that is tight. If it is figure, you need to bring more muscle. If it is wellness, you need a developed lower body. And so your training should be based on that. And as an athlete or as a person who's planning to compete in their first competition, I am hoping that by now you know your way around the gym. Probably you're training 5 to 6 times in a week. You're also putting in your cardio to enable you to shed fat and all that. After the training aspect, you have to prepare for your diet. What is it that you're eating? Remember, you're trying to be very lean and holding on to your muscle. It's a muscle show. That is what I've said. So it's not who brings in sassiness. Yes, you can bring all that sassiness, but it's a muscle show. So in your diet, by now probably you need to know how you're supposed to eat. When you're cutting for a competition, your protein has to be very high, and you do it deliberately so that you maintain high protein and try not to lose your muscle in the way. I have seen people who, in cutting, they cut everything. They lose their muscle, they lose fat, and then they end up going there flat. Always remember, it's a muscle show. So by now you should be prepping for your diet. You should have a strict diet regimen, and depending on where you're at in terms of your body fat percentage, people usually like diet between 16 to 12 weeks. That is ideal, but I will put a disclaimer depending on your fat levels. There are people who even do long preps, like maybe 20 weeks, but it all depends on how you're looking at when you're starting. So there is no like standard prescription of you're supposed to prep for 12 weeks or you're supposed to prep for 16 weeks. No, it all depends on your category and where you're at in terms of body fat levels. Okay, let's look at posing. This is a very important aspect. You might be having a very good body, you're bringing a package that is really admired, but how do you present it? All these categories have different ways on how they're supposed to pose. So when you're prepping for your first competition, when you're training, when you're dieting, you should also put posing as part of it. You can take between 15 to 45 minutes in a gym daily just to pose, make sure your walk is flawless and all that. And when we talk about posing as a new person, remember this is your first competition, we have different types. I'm assuming you've passed through prejudging. So we usually have the mandatory poses, which are mostly quarter turns, and these quarter turns are different depending on, are you doing bikini, are you doing figure, are you doing wellness? And I have narrowed it down to these 3 categories because these are the categories that are being done here in Kenya. But when we get to look at categories probably worldwide, they're different because now we have 6 categories. But remember, this channel is about an African perspective, preparing you with the dynamics that are here in Kenya. So you have to know how to pose. Remember, you walk in your high heels. The 3 categories, they walk in high heels. You're supposed to be sassy, you're supposed to bring the grace, you're supposed to bring the elegance. All that really matters. And posing is important. So it's something that when you're preparing for your competition, you also have to look at it. Now, there are the parts. Is the glamming aspect. The way people prepare for the birthdays, the weddings, parties, they really take serious consideration. And this sport is also about that. I said it's a muscle show for people in fitness. So the glamming aspect, that day you're expected to come in a posing suit that shows your great features, that goes with your skin tone and all that. In Kenya right now, we don't have where you can buy the bikini or your posing costume, or the costume that you're going to use in stage. So you can either buy it online, and when you've decided to buy it online, please do it early, like 3 months, because it can really take a long time when you're shipping your bikini. It can be very bad, like you've prepared for a competition, your body is looking good, you've already dieted, and your bikini takes time to arrive. So do it early. While ordering your bikini, there are 2 ways you can do it. You can have it custom made according to your actual size, and actually customizing, having it custom made is better because it suits you, or it comes according to your actual shape and size. The other way, you can just order it online in Amazon, or you can look for a suit maker and just buy it. But I have seen in my journey, when I was trying to get a bikini, I would look at, this person is my size, but when I go and fit their bikinis, it will just not fit. Some people have glutes that are lifted, some people have wider waistlines, so it was really a big problem. So it's always good to get your bikini custom made. And these things, I said, this is a sport that is very expensive. When you're trying to order a bikini, be prepared to use at least, and I'm saying at least, 35,000, and I've not put custom. So you can use between 35, and 35 is the lowest of it, and it can go up to 100,000. So imagine you're buying a costume that is 100,000, and you're not even sure if you're going to win. It's a local show and all that. It can really be frustrating, but it is what it is. We said it is a privilege, it is not a right. Now, the other way of getting your bikini, there are different Facebook pages. I will put links here that usually have used bikinis or used competition suits. But even if they're used, remember, it doesn't mean they're cheap. I used one, still you'll get it between 45 to still 100,000, and I've not put their duty. And you know what KRA does? It looks at the value of the package that you're getting. If they decide to send it via poster, maybe you're buying a used bikini, if the person puts a value there, probably if they say it's 500 USD, what KRA usually does, it gives you half of it. So you're supposed to pay, if it's 500 and I am using the list exchange rate, I'm translating that to 50,000. If it is 50,000 Kenya shillings, what you've bought, you're supposed to pay half of it. So you're supposed to pay 25,000 as duty for importing. What does it bring it? It will be 50,000 that you bought it for, and then another 25,000 for shipping. I will give you a secret. Remember, I said it's an African perspective, how I've been importing my bikinis. What you do, you tell the person, the seller or the person sending that bikini, to put a very low value. Probably they can put like 1,000, no, not 1,000, 10 USD. 10 USD translates to probably 1,000 Kenya shillings. So if KRS is something for 1,000 and then they do half of it, you'll pay 500 bob for that. But remember, that one is also still risky. It depends on the person that you get who's clearing, but that is it. Another thing, you can send people who are coming to Kenya. Probably, somebody who's traveling abroad, you can buy your bikini and you send them. It will lower the price. Now, I don't want to scare you. I don't want to talk about 100,000, 50,000, and you're just a beginner, a person who's trying their hand in bodybuilding. Probably you even don't know if this is your sport. You can customize it. You can custom made it using the local tailors. Yes, I said it. And I've seen so many people who've done that. You just need to get a good tailor. You show them what you want and they can make it for you. Remember, they also judge you on how you look. So if you decide to use a good tailor, you can get a fabric. Another secret is you can go and get this second-hand shiny party things. You look at your favorite colors and they custom make it for you. But even if you decide to do that, kindly do it very early. You know how our Kenyan tailors are. They can really mess you. You don't want to be frowning on your day. I usually say competitions are like weddings. By the way, every time I've been competing, I've just been feeling like, ooh, this is my day. My makeup is on point. I just need to bring grace and sassiness and all that. So you don't need to be frowning. Your bikini is not fitting you. And it's funny, like what we wear when we are on stage, some people usually call it like it's almost near nudity to them. So you can imagine when you're doing your back pose, you're supposed to open your lats, you're supposed to show your glutes, and your bikini is not fitting well. You're afraid probably things are going to, maybe your private parts are going to show. So start early. That is on glamming. And then when you're also thinking of glamming, think about your hair, think about your makeup for that day. You will need a professional makeup artist so that you don't come with maybe one eyebrow drawn wrongly. This is a beauty pageant for people in fitness. So you really have to portray that part. Now, when we are still talking on glamming, you will need shoes. And there's a particular type of shoes that we wear. It should be high heel. It should not be chunky. It should not be block, and it is usually clear. I will show different types of shoes that you can put on during competition. So you really need to start also looking for them early. And the bad thing is, these things are not in Kenya. We just need to import them. And I've talked about clearance. It's not an easy process. But much as we are talking about these things are not in Kenya, you need to start walking in your high heels. You need to know how you walk in the heels, bringing grace. We don't want you falling on stage because you could not walk on heels. That is it on glamming. If you feel you need to ask anything on glamming, you can kindly do that. You glam your nails, you glam your hair, you glam your face. They look at skin tone. I mean, this is a very subjective sport. You cannot come with maybe pimples wanting to pop and think people will understand. No, that is why I say it is a privilege. So when you're thinking about your nails also, we usually say your nails should not outpower your suit. Like probably you're putting on a dull thing and your nails are there screaming. So it's something that you really need to be thinking about as you're preparing for your competition. You prepare your meals. You look at what you're supposed to eat in that period between 12 to 16 weeks. You prepare what you will, the look that you will have, you train and all that. And it's funny because it is something that is only for a day, but you find you've taken like 20 weeks doing this. But as I said, we have to do what we love. If you love it, go for it. If you have any question, if you have any guidance on probably how do I get my suit, how do I get hair for that day, how do I prepare in terms of looking at the diet, what am I supposed to eat, how am I supposed to train, those are the questions that I am welcoming.